Hello, Magic English 8 here. Thank you for watching my videos. I hope they are helping you make significant progress in your advanced English grammar, which is useful for both your writing and your speaking. Today I am with you with another video of our book, Communicate What You Mean, and the lesson today is something often neglected. It is about punctuation. So far I have recorded 11 videos in this book, and I suggest you go and watch them before going for this one, since understanding the previous concepts is a prerequisite to this one. This is the first video on punctuation. Later on I will have another one as our book makes more progress. It is punctuation in conjunctive adverbs and coordinating conjunctions. So I hope you remember from my previous video that coordinating conjunctions are these 7 fanboys and but for or nor so yet, and synonyms for them we have conjunctive adverbs in the area of contrast, in the area of addition, cause result, and condition. So today our talk revolves mainly on punctuation of conjunctive adverbs and coordinating conjunctions. Before everything, I hope that you know what a phrase is, what a clause is. So first, the easiest concept is clause. What is a clause? It is the combination of a subject and a verb together. So you got a subject and a verb, you have a clause. Now this clause could be independent. Regarding the meaning, it is independent. It does not depend on any other clause. She went, subject, verb, independent. She went to school, independent. But what about dependent? When she went, something else is required. But still it is a clause. Why? Subject, verb. Because she went, where she went, and if she went, all of them are dependent clauses. So that is the story of a clause. But what about a phrase? A phrase is 2 or more words that does not form a clause. And what is that? For example, going to school. For example, at home. For example, brilliant advice. All of these are phrases. Now here at a glance I have something which is really useful for you. Cafe is one word, but at that cafe is a phrase. She works at that cafe is an independent clause, but because she works at that cafe is a dependent clause. It's got a subject, it's got a verb, but meaning-wise it is dependent on something else. I suggest you have a screenshot of this part and use it in your toolkit. Very beautiful and useful for you. Now, because I know phrases could be kind of challenging for many students, I have some examples for you here as phrases of different types. For example, the old leather bound book. Phrase. We're swimming in the crystal clear water. It doesn't have a subject, so phrase. Incredibly talented and skilled. Again, phrase. Under the starlit sky. Phrase. Prepositional phrase. Eating ice cream on a hot summer day. Verb phrase, doesn't have a subject. To explore new possibilities. Verb phrase, infinitive phrase. Exhausted from long journey. Again, phrase, adjectival. The sun having set. It's got a subject, but it doesn't have a tensed verb. The verb does not have any tense. My best friend, the one with the contagious laughter. So what is the verb? No verb. Phrase. With great enthusiasm and excitement. Again, phrase, and that is a prepositional phrase. So this is a list of some phrases for you. Now, examples of dependent clauses. While she was studying for her exams. Dependent. If we omit the while, it will become an independent clause here. Since the weather was unpredictable. Dependent clause. If you need assistance with the project. Dependent clause. It's got a subject, it's got a verb, but the meaning is dependent. where they work the same, although the car had a flat tire. Dependent clause is an adverb clause. Later we will talk about it. As the music plays softly in the background. Dependent clause. Because of the recent changes in policy. The same. What she told us yesterday. Again, dependent clause. And as soon as the clock strikes midnight. Dependent clause. So you already know what a phrase is, what a clause, dependent clause and independent clause is. But now let's see. When do we need a comma? A comma is needed when independent clauses are connected by a coordinating conjunction. Two independent clauses connected with a fanboy require a comma before the fanboy. And what are the fanboys? And, but, for, or, nor, so, yet. They are studying hard, independent clause. They must get a good mark, independent clause. So we need a comma before the coordinating conjunction. But what about this one? They are studying hard, independent clause, must get a good mark. That is a phrase. So it does not need a comma. When a dependent clause comes first, and then the independent clause follows. How? When they arrive, comma, we will decide what to do. Independent clause. But what if we bring the independent clause first? We will decide what to do when they arrive. No comma is required. So in these two cases, we need a comma. Two independent clauses connected by a fanboy, or independent clause comes first, independent clause follows. What about a semicolon? Kind of weird this. Very simple. Instead of a period, you can go for a semicolon. How? It might be rainy today, independent clause, period. We'd better take our umbrellas, independent clause. It might be rainy today, we'd better. So instead of that period, we can go for a semicolon. What's the difference? Here, small letter, here, capital letter or uppercase. It might be rainy today, so we'd better. So a coordinating conjunction connecting two independent clauses together, and that's why we need a comma before. This is one case of using a semicolon instead of a period. The other one, before a conjunctive adverb. It might be rainy today. Therefore, as a result, consequently, or any other conjunctive adverb, semicolon before, comma after. We better take our umbrellas. Or it might be rainy today, so with a coordinating conjunction, just a comma. With a conjunctive adverb, semicolon, comma. Okay? Brilliant, brilliant. Now, why do we talk about punctuation? Is it important? If you are aiming for an IELTS 6, for example, it's not that important. But if you're aiming for higher scores like 7 and upper, surely alongside your good grammar, alongside topic development, alongside coherence, cohesion, and task achievement, any other thing, theme vocabulary, also punctuation matters. Got it? Now I got some punctuation practice for you here. Which of the following 25 sentences needs a comma? Which one needs a semicolon? And which one does not need any punctuation marks? So I lined up for you here 25 sentences. I love to write, but I struggle with grammar. Two independent clauses, a coordinating conjunction. This one needs a comma. Number 2, my love for writing and the struggle with grammar. These two are phrases, they are not clauses. My love for writing, phrase. The struggle with grammar, phrase, so it does not need any comma before. She enjoys hiking. He prefers cycling. Two independent clauses. We need a comma before the coordinating conjunction. How she enjoys hiking, dependent clause. Why he prefers cycling, dependent clause. So we don't need a comma. Number 5, she entered, independent clause. They all stood up, independent clause. We need a comma before. Look at number 6, she entered, hence they all stood up. It is not a coordinating conjunction. It is conjunctive adverb. It needs a semicolon before and a comma afterwards. The sun was shining brightly, so we decided to. 2 independent clauses, a comma before the fanboy. The bright sunshine. Phrase. Our decision to go for a picnic. Again, phrase. So, no comma necessary. The sun was shining brightly. Independent clause. We decided to go for a picnic. And here we got a conjunctive adverb. Semicolon before, comma after. Number 10. They studied hard for the exam, yet didn't perform well. So, independent clause first, but here it is not an independent clause. It's a verb phrase. So, no comma before the fanboy. 11. They studied hard for the exam, independent. They didn't perform well. So, 2 independent clauses, a comma is required. They studied hard for the exam. Conjunctive adverb. A semicolon, a comma. Yep. Number 13. My sister is a talented musician and my brother is a skilled artist. 2 independent clauses, a comma. My sister is talented in music but not skilled in the arts. So this one is not an independent clause, so we don't need a comma before. We wanted to go to the beach. It started raining heavily. 2 independent clauses, comma. We wanted to go to the beach, however, semicolon, comma. Number 17, he wanted to visit the museum but did not have. So, it's not 2 independent clauses, no comma. He wanted to visit the museum but it closed for renovation, so it needs a comma. 2 independent clauses. He wanted to visit the museum, however, semicolon before, comma, after. She completed the project on time, nevertheless. Conjunctive adverb, a semicolon before, a comma after. She forgot to submit. And tell you something, conjunctive adverbs always connect 2 independent clauses together, not 2 phrases. Number 21, she completed her project on time but forgot to. It is not an independent clause, so we don't need a comma. She completed the project on time, but she forgot 2 independent clauses, a comma before. I enjoy cooking and usually prepare something before. So this one is an independent, this one is not an independent. No comma is needed. I enjoy cooking and I usually prepare. So again, a comma here. Why? 2 independent clauses. And do you see? We have the punctuation mark and the space follows the punctuation mark. Be careful, if you put the space here, that is incorrect. For all punctuation marks, the space follows. I enjoy cooking, conjunctive adverb, so that is a semicolon before, a comma afterwards. Okay, I hope you got it, the coordinating conjunctions and conjunctive adverbs, punctuation. But here I have something for you. If you got conjunctive adverbs, there are 4 possible ways of putting them, connecting 2 sentences together in order to make your sentences of different types. Here I have lined up 4 examples for you from the book Communicate What You Mean, and you see that you can have 2 sentences connected with a conjunctive adverb like this. Number 1, I'm studying English in Denver. First independent clause finishes, then a semicolon, in our case, however, comma, and then the second independent clause, my best friend is in Houston. Number 2, I told you semicolon could come instead of a period. So I'm studying English in Denver, finished. However, comma, my best friend is in Houston. What is the difference between number 1 and number 2? In number 2, we got a period, so capital H. In number 1, we got a semicolon, so small h. Okay? Number 3, I'm studying English in Denver, independent clause 1 finished, period. The second clause and your conjunctive adverb falls in the middle of the second clause. It's not connecting two independent clauses in between. It is in the middle of one clause. So it comes with comma, comma. My best friend, however, is in Houston. Set off with two commas. And the last one, independent clause 1 finishes, period. My best friend is in Houston. Again, the second one finishes, comma, and your conjunctive adverb. Okay? So these are 4 ways of connecting two sentences with a conjunctive adverb. Now, you might be wondering why all these different ways. Why? Because in your writing, you can use different sentences with different connectors, and that shows your mastery in English. So it will contribute to your better score. Okay? So far we have 4 ways of connecting conjunctive adverbs, and also in the case of contrast we have however, nevertheless, and still, and of course on the contrary. If you see no 2 sentences in your writing should be repetitive regarding their connectors and punctuation. It will give you different ways for connecting sentences of contrast, sentences of addition, sentences of cause result, and that means surely better score in your writing. But conjunctive adverbs of time sequence are not followed by a comma. All of the previous ones are. These ones are not followed by a comma. For example, I got the book list for the course, semicolon, or period, no difference, and they are not followed by a comma. I went to the bookstore to buy the books. Okay, so that is the only difference. Now, exercise 4 on page 73. It says punctuate the sentences, add commas, periods, semicolons, or capitalized letters wherever necessary. And these sentences are very beautiful sentences revolving around environmental issues. So not a bad idea to record them for yourself in your vocabulary notebook, or at least transfer the beautiful parts, chunks, and words and phrases so you may use them in your writing or in your speaking. In some parts of the United States, number 1, there is a shortage of water. Thus, residents in these areas can water their lawns only every 3 days. End of all your sentences need a period. So that being said, here we have independent clause 1 finished, independent clause 2, and we have a conjunctive adverb, so semicolon, comma. Okay, maybe the beautiful part here is a shortage of water. Beautiful for you to transfer into your vocabulary notebook. Residents instead of people. You can use it. And water as a verb. Water their lawns. Water their lawns. Beautiful. Number 2. Local governments encourage the residents of these cities to use water conservatively. Otherwise, so that is a semicolon, comma, there will not be enough water for everyone. Period. Okay? Use water conservatively, adverb. Number 3. Water is not the only kind of shortage many American cities have. Semicolon, in fact, comma. Or you could a period here. You could put a period here and capitalize the I. Some cities have electric power shortage. Beautiful phrase. During the summer period. Number 4. The governments of many industrialized nations have been worried about the rising cost of fuel for several years. Independent clause 1 finished. So you can put a semicolon here, or you can put a period and capitalize M. Most private citizens, on the contrary, because it is in the middle of one sentence, it is not connecting two sentences together, it is in the middle of one clause, so we need comma, comma. Most private citizens, on the contrary, have just begun to realize the problem, period. Maybe industrialized nations was a beautiful chunk here. Number 5. Many cities have been studying the possibility of converting trash into fuel to produce steam. Independent clause 1 finished, so period. Then, which is not followed by a comma, they would like to use the steam to manufacture hydrogen as a fuel for buses. So 1 point here for you. Convert trash into fuel. Convert trash into fuel. This is beautiful. I told you that conjunctive adverbs of time sequence are not followed by a comma, so that's why we don't have it. And here again, you know that we can have a semicolon in small t. Number 6. There are many different possible sources of fuel. Independent clause 1 finished, period. The problem, however, is the time and cost of developing them. In the middle of one clause, so comma, comma. Number 7. The price of gasoline is much higher than it used to be. Independent clause 1 finished. Semicolon, therefore, comma. Many Americans nowadays prefer to buy compact cars, small cars, rather than large ones. So, compact cars, small ones, large ones, one and ones, instead of repeating the word. So, this will contribute to your coherence, cohesion. Okay? Sometimes my students ask me, what is a synonym for this word? Most of the words could be simply replaced by grammar with the use of something like one, ones, the, and something like that. So grammar could be at the service of your vocabulary. Number 8, scientists believe that heat from the sun is an important new source of energy. Independent clause 1 finished, period. They realize that solar technology is still in its infancy, however, end of the second clause, set off by 1 comma. A very beautiful chunk for you here, to be in its infancy. To be in its infancy, or to be in embryonic stages or phases. It means it is not developed yet. It is just in early stages. Okay? Number 9. Ecologists are concerned about new sources of energy. Independent clause finished. Nevertheless, they want future sources that will not harm the environment. Harm the environment, a beautiful chunk for you. Harm the environment. Here, we could have a period and capital N. And the last one, people in the industrialized nations must learn to conserve energy. Period. Otherwise, later generations will face serious environmental challenges. A very beautiful sentence for you to write in the conclusion of your essay talking about environmental challenges. For example, later generations will face serious environmental challenges. Okay, this was the first exercise we took care of, and now exercise 5, page 74. There is a text for you here with a list of the given words for you to put in blanks. Now, there is more than one possible way for you to do this exercise, but I have come to one answer. But just here, I tell you that these words are some of them interchangeable. For example, as a result, consequently, and therefore. Conjunctive adverbs of cause result. Besides, furthermore, moreover, talking about addition. However, nevertheless, and still, conjunctive adverbs falling under the umbrella of contrast. And then, which is the only conjunctive adverb of time sequence alone here. So let's go to the answer. This is a sample answer to that exercise. At the beginning of the quarter, the students in the section 3 9 o'clock grammar class were miserable. Period. Independent clause 1 finished. They, capital T, could not enjoy a cup of coffee during the break. As a result, therefore, consequently, any of them. They asked the instructor if she would think of a way to solve the series problem. Period. She told them she would buy a large coffee pot if everyone gave her $2. Period. Moreover, comma, she told them she would buy coffee, sugar, and cream if everyone gave her 75 cents a week. Period. Capital T. The instructor, however, comma, in the middle of one independent clause, didn't collect the money for many days. Period. Consequently, as a result, therefore, students became more miserable. And besides, they couldn't stay awake during the second hour of the class. Period. One student from Saudi Arabia was especially thirsty for a good cup of coffee. Therefore, every day, for the next 2 weeks, he reminded the teacher to get the money from the students. Period. Finally, he decided to collect the money himself. Period. He collected $2.75 from everyone in the class. Period. Then, not followed by a comma, he gave the money to the teacher. Period. Now everyone is happy. Period. The teacher, nevertheless, comma, is worried about the mess in her office every day after the students get their coffee. Still, but she's happy. She's happy too because students are satisfied. And furthermore, they will be awake for her class. So this was one version of answering this exercise. You could go with some variation, but overall the story is the same. Exercise 6, page 75. There is again another text for you, but you are supposed to come up with some ideas how to put connectors here. No list of connectors is given in this exercise to you. The exercise is this one. Again, I have prepared a sample response for that, but because we want to refer to them both, let's put it in another Word file here. It says, the English Language Center began 3 years ago. It has been a part of the university for only a short time. It has already received much respect from the entire university. You see all these sentences without any connectors. So my idea here for this one. It says the English Language Center began 3 years ago. It has been a part of the university for only a short time and has already received much respect from the entire university. So we got the and, no comma, because there is not two independent clauses connected, and these sentences are connected so beautifully together. The second part, I have put it into some chunks. It has received much respect from its own students. The members of the faculty are experienced teachers. The students are serious. So this part, it has also, I decided that an also here would make it more beautiful, although it's not in the list of our conjunctive adverbs or coordinating conjunctions. It has also received much respect from its own students because The members of the faculty are experienced teachers and students are serious. For and here both of them require commas because they are connecting two independent clauses. The program began with only 37 students in the fall quarter. It grew rapidly, so I can feel some contrast between these two sentences. That's why here we say the program began with only 37 students in the fall quarter, yet it grew rapidly. Independent clauses, so we need a comma before the yet. And here it says, in the winter quarter, there were 76 students. There were almost 100 students in the spring quarter. So there are jumps in the number of students attending. Here, in a winter quarter, there were 76 students. So because independent clause 1 finished, here we can have a period or a semicolon. In the spring quarter, however, comma, there were almost 100 students. Okay, connecting with a contrast conjunctive adverb. During the first year of operation, the center was in a beautiful building. There was not enough room, so I can feel some sort of contrast again here. During the first year of operation, the center was in a beautiful building, but there was not enough room. It was growing very quickly. It had to be moved to a larger building. I can feel some sort of so, cause, result here. Therefore, it was growing very quickly, so it had to move to a larger building. And you see the sentences are not very long, therefore a coordinating conjunction is better than a conjunctive adverb. So for example here, if I go with a therefore or a consequently, that's not as beautiful as this one. After all, conjunctive adverbs are more formal, so they require longer sentences. The second home for the center was larger than the first one. The building was very old. Students did not like it. Teachers did not like it. So I can feel contrast again. The second home for the center was larger than the first one. The building, however, was very old. So, as a result, neither the students nor the teachers liked it. Okay? The rooms were small. The rooms were uncomfortable. So it is and. There were not enough blackboards. There was not a lounge area for students. So many problems. In addition, the rooms were small and uncomfortable, and independent clause, there were not enough blackboards or any lounge area for students. So or here connecting not two independent clauses together. That's why we don't have a comma, but here and is connecting two independent clauses together, hence a comma. And the final paragraph for us here, it says, the university prepared a new permanent home for the English Language Center. It was beautiful. Finally, students, just up to here. The university prepared a new permanent home for the English Language Center, which was beautiful. I decided a which here is better than any other connector, though you can go with any other coordinating conjunction. But a which is more natural. Finally, students were happy, teachers were happy. Finally, both students and teachers were happy. Not only students, but also teachers were happy. Both options are possible. So this was another exercise of connecting sentences, and that's all. What is our next video? It will be again on punctuation of conjunctive adverbs and coordinating conjunctions, following on pages 76 and 77 with the exercises that we have in the book, Communicate What You Mean. But as a short review on what we talked about today. We talked about punctuations of coordinating conjunctions and conjunctive adverbs. Here it's just a review. In the previous video clip, video number 10 in this playlist, I have these conjunctive adverbs and coordinating conjunctions. I have talked about them in detail, and we talked about the punctuations of them. Before that, I expected you to know what a phrase is, what a clause is, and what a dependent clause is. We talked about them all. This beautiful frame: a phrase, independent clause, a dependent clause. Examples of phrases I talked to you about, examples of dependent clauses I talked to you about. A comma is needed when two independent clauses are connected by a fanboy. A comma is needed when the dependent clause first comes and then the independent clause comes. However, in the case of semicolon, a semicolon is used instead of a period, or it's used before a conjunctive adverb followed by a comma. Here we had some exercises, we took care of them, and I told you that the sentences there were beautiful. Please transfer them into your vocabulary notebook, the beautiful chunks. 4 possible patterns of connecting two sentences with a conjunctive adverb: semicolon, comma, period, comma, in the middle of the second independent clause, comma, comma, end of the second independent clause, set off by 1 comma. Conjunctive adverbs of time sequence are an exception. They are not followed by a comma. And here, exercise 4 we talked about, exercise 5 we talked about, and exercise 6 also the same. Okay? Final comment, my friend, for you. Please take punctuation seriously if you are aiming for an IELTS, TOEFL, or any other standardized test with high scores in your mind. And in case you like this video, please leave a comment and also like it. Please share it with your friend and invite them to come and enjoy the videos in this channel for free. I hope you have enjoyed the video today and wish a brilliant day for you ahead of yourself. Take very good care of yourself, and bye.